5:30 p.m. Today is May 6th, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Call to order the meeting of the Tilton Northfield Fire District Building Committee. Those present, Chief, Matt, Kevin, Lisa, Paul, Derek, Nate, Dennis, Tim, Deputy Chief Alvani, Deputy Chief Mike Robinson. No brain freeze tonight. Okay, so we'll start with a review of the minutes from our last meeting. I would like to bring them to the floor for discussion. And I think Derek Farrell's name needs to be moved from firefighters present to a member that was present. While he did arrive late, he is a member of this committee. And move Mike Robinson's name to public. Because as you stated, you were speaking as a member of the public. You're not a member of the committee.
Correct.
So. Anybody see anything else?
On the second page, third paragraph, call be yet, starts with call be yet.
Yeah.
Starts with call be asked.
Yeah.
Second sentence is staying within $10 million budget.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know where that came from.
I don't think a number was actually mentioned, was it?
I think we were broadly discussing, are we designing to meet the needs or to meet a proposed budget number?
But
I'm
we
not
don't-
sure if we, so maybe that could be clarified.
Well, again, what the minutes are is a written record of what was said, not what you intended to say. So certainly that wasn't what I didn't intend to say we had to stay within a $10 million budget, but that might be what I said.
I don't know specifically, but I don't remember talking about numbers, so.
Yeah.
The minutes are not a word for word verbatim document. It's to reflect the motions and what happened and to general discussion, not, minutes really don't have to be specific in
Right.
that respect.
Yeah, I mean, it could be as simple as the building committee discussed new building proposals. And by law, that's it.
Would it be inappropriate just to change that? The station meets the needs of the fire district regardless of price? No, sorry. Committee is working to design a station that meets the needs of the fire department regardless of price or staying within a budget. And just remove the $10 million?
I think that's probably closer, but again, my only concern with that is that minutes are public and someone could read that and say, well, you said it was gonna be 10 million.
Right.
Right.
And that's the budget you're working for. Yeah.
Well,
I don't think we were agreeing on a budget.
right. I agree with Tim's assertion that, I mean, that was my intent, was not throwing out a number, but stating that we had to stay within the budget.
I'd say maybe, you proposed the question of whether we're designing to meet needs or meet a budget.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Just because that's not putting words in your mouth.
So I guess what we'll do is we'll scratch a $10 million out of that sentence. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Well, are there any other changes? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Lauren. Okay, so tonight, we're gonna open the meeting to public input again, as we did last time, specifically because there were members of the public here. A lot of times we just blow it off because nobody's here. What I would like to express is my concern about having a conversation between the committee and the public. While it's perfectly fine to do that, I think it's more productive for us if we take those comments, store them either in memory or writing, and discuss them amongst ourselves. So with that being said, open the meeting to public input. Sean?
It won't take long. So,
I said that last month, and I caught out.
We heard that before.
so I watched the meeting the other night, and the one you guys had while I was gone, and I just have a few comments on it, and then a quick statement, and then we'll go from there. So I'm better when I write things down. So I watched the meeting last night and feel that my being on the committee is causing a slight distraction, and it's about having 2 advisory chiefs on it, and I think that's causing a distraction and some people asking my opinion and other things. And I think what it's causing is a time crunch, and you guys are under a huge time crunch. I don't know if we realize, but if we want to get a building done by 2026 and on that warrant, we need to get it done now. We have a fire chief. He does a great job. He consults me on a regular basis, and he wants these projects to succeed. And until somebody else comes, whether that be me or another person, he's the chief, and he is the right person to advise this committee. As I watched the meeting, I heard requests for my opinions about the stations. I think I've said this before, but I'm not a station guy. I've worked out of a horse barn for 20 years. I love it. I'd work there another 20 years if you put a ambulance bay on it. I love that station. I'm not a station guy. I've always had the opinion that we are a one-station department, and that station should be in the village. The commission has deemed that's not feasible and requested a 2-station plan. The 3 chiefs, the Deputy Robinson, myself, and the fire chief, we came together and developed that plan, and I still stand by it. That plan calls for 1 truck, 2 ambulances, a pickup truck, and a trailer at Sanborn Road. It also calls for 3 trucks, 2 ambulances, a pickup truck, and a trailer at Park Street. That's all it states. There's no mentions of dimensions, renovations, new versus old. That's what the building committee is here to decide those things. That recommendation doesn't have that. I would urge you to listen to Deputy Robinson. He knows this department better than anybody else. He's been in this town forever, grew up in this town. He's been on the fire department for 47 years. And I don't think anybody cares more about this fire department than Deputy Robinson. And on that note, I will not be attending any more building committee meetings. I have a family, and time with them is important and necessary. I'm here far too many nights between incidents, training, other meetings. In my absence, I want to give Captain Farrell 100% of my support. He cares about this department, cares about the community. He regularly communicates with me about the stations, and he has great ideas. When he said whatever he says, I 100% agree with. I still look forward to serving on the Station Finance Committee. I would still like to be on that if the commissioners would still have me serve. But believe it's a huge, important step in this process, and I hope to work with all of you presenting a great station plan in March of 26. I guess other than that, I'm probably going to go have dinner with my family, but unless you guys have some questions for me, that was my...
Enjoy dinner.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean. Mike?
I spent my time last month.
Okay. All right, so a couple things on my list, and we spoke about it a minute ago. Chief, could we ask Lorero on any future drawings that there be a revision level somewhere?
Sure.
Even if it, I mean, the revision block
date, something,
date.
yeah.
would be great. That way, because, you know, we have 2 copies of each station now. Lisa corrected me on the drawing numbers. I personally if I see a drawing with the same number, that means to me it's the same drawing, just a different revision level. Personally, I would feel more comfortable if those 4 drawings had one number for Park Street, one number for Sanborn Road, sheet 1 of 2, sheet 2 of 2. But I'd like Lisa's input.
Along with the revision date.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what it is they're in such the beginning of this, that's why they didn't do 1 of 2, because there's gonna be 1 of, or 2 of 40 at some point. So they, for, as far as page numbers goes. But the A101 is a standard, you know, that's your first drawing for a building, and so you have 2 buildings. It makes sense to have the A101 for each set of buildings, but that's.
Well, how do you guys feel? Would it be,
I don't have any problem discerning one from the other personally, but, and it does say either Sanborn Road or Park Street on the side above the A101. But that's me.
If
I'm
you
used
keep
to-
the
I'm used
same
to looking
number,
at them.
if you keep the same number and make changes, how do you keep track?
Well,
The
so that's why
revision
there's-
date, that's
they
why
would be
you-
over here,
version.
there should be revision date here, so you know that you've got the latest.
And the newest date would be the latest.
Newest
Right.
is the latest, yes.
So you gotta at least do that.
I feel like it'd be good if they also did like V1, V2, like just because you may not, unless you're looking at them, you may not know exactly which is the latest, you know, especially if the latest version was, you know, more than a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, they should just have a date, and you can look at it, you would, what do you mean by V1, V2?
Well, because like, say we get 3 updated copies in June,
Okay.
you know, maybe someone is unsure whether, you know, the most recent one is, you know, the 17th, maybe they only have 2 of the 3. I'm just saying if like there was version 1, version 2, version 3, that's
Well,
a little
that-
more clear than just.
That would
a
be
date.
their revision, right,
It's
there's-
gonna
it's in the
be-
block, right here, number, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So that would be in there, and then there would be a date, so you would know that it's,
and the description of what the
and I'm sure
red
they
was?
intend to do it, but it's,
Right, we're
we're
preliminary.
just so preliminary right
Right.
now that, you know, these aren't issued for any, are
I'm-
issued for review.
I'm easily confused, so. Okay,
Or they, what I've seen for review copies is they stamp the date right on the plan. They just put a date, and it doesn't have a revision number. That's another
That
way
would
to do
work.
it. Once they get into issuing drawings, like preliminary plans, then it'll
Formal.
say preliminary plans, and then it'll have the revisions and all of that. Right now, this is still, you know, everything's up in the air, and we don't want them spending time doing all of that when it's irrelevant when they go to issue their first set of drawings. So just
Well-
maybe a date stamp would be great.
so I've kind of handwritten Rev 0 and Rev 1 on my drawing, so I can easily tell.
Right.
Okay, so I think what we intended on doing last meeting was reviewing the Park Street station, is that correct?
Before we go there, Commissioner Sattler asked me if I could arrange for a tour of the Londonderry Station number 1, which is the one by the airport. So I called the chief down there, who put me in touch with the battalion chief who's in charge of facilities, and he gave me a date when he was available, barring emergencies, to give us a tour of that station. They'd actually built 2 of the same station, 5-year apart, so he has a lot to say about them. He wasn't involved in building them, but he's been involved in maintaining them and stuff like that. He could tell us what's the good, bad, and ugly of those stations. And the date he gave me was Monday, May 19th at 1 o'clock. And for those of you who can make it, fine. For those that you can't, that's what it is.
The stations are identical?
Yes. They're 5 years apart in age. So you can tell how they, weird.
Have you seen them?
I've driven by them, but I've never gone in either one of them.
Do you know how many personnel they hold?
They're built to hold 5 people.
Does one of those have immediate access to the highway?
No,
No, that's Manchester. Oh, and the other one, which highway are you talking about?
the Everett Pike.
I can't remember.
Yeah, that's Manchester.
That's Manchester.
That's the only station I know of that has it.
Right on.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we like it, can we steal their plans?
Yeah, I don't think they care.
Monday, May 19 at 1 p.m. I guess once everybody gets their schedules figured out,
Yeah.
we can carpool or get together, whatever. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so how do you feel about tackling Park Street?
Well, there's a new revision for Park Street that I have here. It's not that much difference.
So let's make sure we write the revision.
And I didn't know if there's another one coming after that, because there's problems with this one that we looked at, and we can see right away.
Got one more?
Nope.
Can you
I don't
highlight
think
what the difference
I don't have
is?
one. He's a Sanborn Road.
Looks like
Yeah, we don't.
we moved the stairwell and the mezzanine, I assume?
The only thing that's changed between the old one is adding a stairwell from the inside to go upstairs, whereas before, the previous plans, you had to get upstairs from, you had to actually go into the apparatus room, walk down the hallway and go up the stairs that way. When I got this plan, I looked at a couple things, and if we swap, what this does is this blocks an immediate access to the apparatus room from where the guys are gonna be most of the time, either in the weight room or the office, the day room, kitchen area. If we swap the lockers with the decon, that might give us a straight pass through. But the architect was sent me these plans just after our meeting last week, but then he was out of state for till tomorrow, so I won't have a chance to talk to him until tomorrow. Other than that, the plans are fine.
It's funny, that's one of the concerns I had, was if you were in the day room, and this would be, great question, I'd love to have Derek's input. If you were in the day room and you were going to the garage, you'd come out in the hallway and you'd want to go straight into the garage, and you couldn't do that, you'd have to go right or left to go around.
Yeah, I don't agree with this, the way this is laid out. One thing, if you're gonna build a fire station, you wanna build the best access, right? And this isn't giving us good access.
Yeah.
Should there be doors between like the kitchen, day through office and the
I'm not worried about the doors part, it's more the layout. We can add the doors afterwards. The most important part of this is the flow. What's in there in the flow and where things are located. Adding doors is not a problem later, because we're gonna have to add security doors here and there, which he didn't include in this plan, but we can add them in later.
Tim, do you mind repeating your question to Derek?
Yeah, and I think, so, if you look at the plan, either the previous version or this one, if you were to walk out of the day room into the hallway, and you wanted to go straight into the apparatus bay, I mean, to me, that would make most sense, but in either plan, you can't get to the apparatus without, in the second plan, you're going to the right and going around the locker room,
There was a plan,
Where are you coming from?
the day room, and trying to get into the apparatus bay.
so there was a plan a
They
couple
added-
plans ago that had a straight hallway. And I think they only changed it because the chief said right here is
Which
because of the
revision
stairwell.
was that?
That was like 3 ago.
This one?
Um,
They had to give the
Yeah, maybe
I would
that
prefer
one,
a
yeah.
hallway here and get rid of this hallway, if that is the, but there needs to be a straight hallway
Yeah.
from this area.
And we all agree on that.
Does that route need to go through decon, or should it bypass the decon area?
Decon is a room in and of it by itself.
So you
And
don't
it
wanna
has its own entrance and exit. I mean, if you wanted to cut through there, you could, I suppose, but that, it's not the intended purpose. What we really need is a straight path, straight hallway, not too many turns, and there's 1,000 turns there.
Right.
So,
Because if you look at the second floor, you come down the stairs and you go right into the apparatus bay,
yes.
the way they've got the stairs configured, and that makes perfect sense.
So coming from the second floor, from the bedroom area, the way this plan is, you can either come down and go into the apparatus room, or come down and go into the, the living space or office area, which is what the intent of our request to the architect was, but in doing so, he got rid of that flow path which is more important. But when the deputy and I looked at it this afternoon, I said, why don't we move this here and this here, and we probably get a straight hallway out of that. And the other thing is that from the administrative area, we don't really need a straight path to get into the apparatus room, so that hallway can disappear if it needs to make room for one thing or another. What we really want is that straight path from the day room into the apparatus room. And so the architect, he'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be able to talk to him about that. But other than that, what's in the plan is pretty good.
So you guys don't go into the turnout gear room? Or you guys keep your turnout gear out in the bay or something? Where-
Right now we do.
Yeah.
We have just lockers out in the bay.
No. What I'm saying is, like, if you respond, like,
No, we
Like
keep
the
our
whole-
gear on the trucks. So
Right,
like
that's-
the
yeah.
turnout gear room is only for when we get off shift or come on
Right.
shift. We'll go grab our stuff, bring it up to the trucks, leave our stuff on the trucks for the day,
right.
and then when we go off shift, put our stuff away. So it's just it's a locker room for turnout gear. That's all
Right.
it is.
So when a call comes in and you're in the day room,
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to stop anywhere.
Nope.
You're just going right out
Go
to
right
the
to the
truck.
truck. We do that now. We don't have to stop anywhere. Just everything
Right.
is on our trucks. We put our stuff on it. My shift at least puts our stuff on it. Everybody should. 6:30 in the morning before they come on shift and ready to go for the day.
So if you were coming back from a call and decon was necessary, do you go into decon and then bring the gear to the turnout gear room?
No, the gear goes through the decon.
Goes through decon. So if we have a fire, we have a bad, nasty EMS call, everything essentially would go into the decon room, get cleaned, and then come back out and get put back in service.
Okay.
If we have a fire or our gear gets dirty and we need to wash it, it would go into the decon room, get cleaned, dried, and then probably not go in service until the next shift, and that's why we have spare gear.
So could we just move the turnout room right next to the stairs and then move decon down
The
essentially?
turnout.
Yeah,
So my biggest thing is the turnout gear room needs to be close to the apparatus. Sometimes it takes me 3 trips to get all my gear onto the truck in the morning, and I don't want to walk the length of the building to go put my gear on the truck.
Could we relocate the elevator and the EMS storage, or would that put the elevator too far into the building?
I don't think that would be needed, but I'll let the architect decide. I think if you look at the size of decon and turnout, if you just swap those rooms and utilize that first hallway, for the decon, then you can put your hallway in here, and the equipment, the turnout gear would just be in the.
It's still right adjacent to the bay.
Yeah.
I just think that the concern is that's further away from the first responding vehicles. But
It's
If
not,
you-
it's
if
not
you
on the
look at-
second floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all the way across the other side. I mean, we're trying to use the space most economically as possible without making the building any bigger.
Well, every room can't be right next to the truck.
And you know, everything's really a compromise.
Looks like a lot of hallway.
Well, I was just thinking
All
that,
No, it's just
do
like,
you need this exit?
Yes, I argued with the architect about that, because you need that exit, you need the exit out of the stairwell that goes directly outside. The doorways out from the individual rooms, like the weight room, stuff like that, those don't need to be there, but they need to be there for practicality use.
And then this door out to the left side
You
of the
can't
building?
have, the code requires that you do not have a dead-end hallway, a hallway that just dead ends. So that's why the door is there.
Could we make the chief's office larger, and so then the hallway goes into the chief's office, it just becomes a...
That's you could do that.
Well, if you were putting that straight shot like you were talking about, I mean, couldn't you just get rid of that whole hallway, bring everything over? I don't know, I'm just saying. It just seems like you've got all these hallways.
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring the turnout gear down to the EMS, just shift everything down. Just have one hallway out to the apparatus bay.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, and not have this,
I think she's also saying take all these rooms and move them this way to eliminate this
Yeah,
hallway.
yeah.
Yeah.
it just seems like wasted space to me, this hallway right here that goes
To nowhere.
to nowhere. I don't know, I'm just,
I think you might need to have so many exits, right?
Can we just make the wellness room like an odd shape, so you come down the stairs from the second floor and there's like a wall there and it's a little like zigzag hall? So essentially just have this wall go here, so this door no longer exists and this becomes
That-
extra.
No, he said you needed that exit for some reason. I asked him, can we get rid of that exit, and he said no.
Well, is that
Because I
just
had,
the
because
dead end of the hall?
because in one of the plans, I says, instead of having that exit, let's put the stairwell in that hallway to go to the second floor. And he says you can't do that because of the code.
Why are there 9 toilet rooms in this building?
Well, we require 7. Due to the size of the building, we're required to have 7. The second floor,
How many you got now?
1.
Do we need 7 rooms or like 7 toilets?
7 toilets,
which each have a room.
which in
all have
today's
to go at the
culture
same time.
requires its own room.
There's really 9 in here, you miscounted.
That's even more ridiculous.
Well,
That's more people than you got in the building.
well, if you,
Yeah.
if you look at it, you've got the one in Beacon that's
That's required.
required. You've got the
I
one
get
up,
that.
you get the one up by the front door that's probably needed to be there for public.
Handicap public.
You've got the 2 over here in the admin area for everybody who's on the first floor over the course of the day. And then when you go upstairs, you've got 2, which are probably for the public, for the, off the training room.
Yep.
And then you've got your 3 with showers for the firefighters.
A lot of bathrooms.
A lot of space.
It's a lot of cleaning.
It's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of plumbing. It's a lot
There's
of,
almost
Yeah,
more
it's a
bathrooms than there are
high-cost
people that
item.
in the station.
It's a high cost item.
right?
It really, no, it is. I'm
Absolutely.
serious.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's
It's a high cost item.
It's a high cost item, and each bathroom is a high, I mean,
Yeah, it is.
think about it.
Why wouldn't we have 2 bathrooms downstairs?
take half
A
those
public
bathrooms,
bath,
like
one
4
public
more
bathroom
days.
upstairs, and then
We could, I think the administrative bathrooms at the end, we could probably just do with 1 there. I know we need the public one, we need the one in the decon room. Upstairs,
Is it because we need like a men's and women's room? Could we just do a single user, like,
I would suggest that,
person?
but then when I talked to our administrative manager, she says, there should be 2 there.
Well, I guess,
And so that went through and it's on the plan now, but it could be taken away again.
I just think about like how many times are we gonna how many times is the public gonna be in this building? How many meetings are we gonna get?
At a time like this.
That's it.
it's,
Exactly, and how many, and hopefully we're not gonna have another building committee meeting after this is built. So are the commissioner meetings gonna be there?
Well, I
Yes.
mean, here, there's one restroom right there.
And there's one there. Right
yeah,
down
there's
the
two
hall.
on this floor.
I've never seen anyone enter a restroom during any of our meetings, except that one right there.
Yeah, there's
Well,
the other
there's
one.
that
The other
one.
one's
That
right,
one.
literally right there. Just people use this one.
And then-
During the daytime, this is for public and that's for employees.
Okay, so Kevin brings up a very good point. Now, the administrative assistant or whoever you said you talked to,
Kathy.
oh, said we need 2 upstairs for the public?
Yes.
I agree. Women don't wanna use the men's room.
Well, and if you're doing a training session and you take a break so everybody can go to the bathroom.
Right, we probably do need to.
Do we need 3 shower rooms? Like, if we're gonna have 4 career, firefighters on duty, is there an incident where 3 of them will be like showering at the same time? Wouldn't we want 2 on, 2 off in case like there's an EMT call or something?
That's what they designed. I think we could probably, I think 3 is better, but if we have to make cut, 2 will probably do.
You know, there's shower stalls in the decon room.
It's 2 or 3 in the decon room. I don't know. I'd have to
I
look.
think it's 3.
Yeah, there's 3 showers.
I think 2 in the decon room is probably enough, and maybe 2 upstairs is enough. What do you think, Derek?
I agree. I mean, if we're gonna cut a bathroom, I mean, a few bathrooms. I'd cut one out of the, I'd have one bathroom near the training room and cut a bathroom near the dorms. I mean,
And
So leave the
downstairs,
4 downstairs.
no. Cut one downstairs also, near the chief's
Admin area?
admin area.
and 1 in the decon.
I would leave the decon.
All 3
Showers or bathrooms?
showers.
Oh, you could cut a shower in the decon. I'm just saying I would leave the decon showers need to stay. You could have 2 showers in the decon room. That'd be.
Yeah, but those shower stalls, I mean, they're not, I mean, yeah, it's plumbing, but they're not as expensive.
It's not like a tile shower. It's just a
Near as
fiberglass
expensive
shower,
as
right?
like sinks
I don't
and
know what,
toilets.
we haven't decided what the architect will decide what the initial materials will be, and then they'll value engineer it from there.
Okay,
I mean,
so,
you should go
Unless
army,
there's a
we should
better
have
use
12
of
head
space.
showers.
Exactly. That's what everybody says.
Just like the high school
It
used
was
to
in
be.
high school, I mean, we had a 12-foot 9-head shower in the gym.
so,
Yeah, too.
You know,
I mean,
but
some-
the other part,
go ahead.
I said, we have these 2 bathrooms down here in admin. If you get rid of one, what do you do with the space?
You shrink the station.
Well,
But it's an odd shape in the middle of the building.
You
Right.
run the room.
Yeah, you add that to the elimination of, or the addition of that hallway, that straight through hallway.
well, there's, you know what? There are no closets downstairs. Maybe you turn it into a closet.
Well, a
Storage
closet's a
room.
hell of a lot cheaper than a bathroom,
Oh, yeah.
And storage, you need storage
Right.
space, right?
so it becomes, yeah, storage. That's what I was gonna
It's
say.
just, I mean, think about how many bathrooms we're gonna cut more stuff than that. 3 bathrooms, right? It's all gonna add up to square footage.
Right.
We're not just cutting 3 bathrooms and saying this is a great plan, and then other people wanna cut other things, right?
Yeah. I mean, every time you cut something, it does change the layout, and if you can't make it,
Fit in a rectangle. You haven't seen any.
somehow it needs to shrink.
I've seen a lot of people highlight this training area. I mean, I'm sure that's gonna shrink down, right? And the whole layout of the station's gonna have to shrink. And the layout's gonna be different.
we just gotta sell it, everyone, because if you're upstairs, if you got your required space downstairs, and you gotta have it upstairs, I mean, it's there, I mean.
It's there, you might as well use it.
It's there, yeah, so I mean, we just gotta learn how, if somebody's squawking about it, it's like, well, we could turn it to dead space if you'd rather, which a training room pretty much is dead space.
Right.
You know, I mean, just argue it that way.
So, can we summarize with the bathrooms and showers, please? So, we're gonna start at the lobby. You come in, that toilet room on the left is gonna stay.
Yep.
If you continue to the left, down by the deputy chief's office, one of those toilets will stay and one will be storage or eliminated. Continue, go back to the lobby, now walk straight up to the decon room. The toilet room is gonna stay there, and of the 3 showers, we're gonna keep 2 and eliminate 1. Is that?
Yeah.
If I'm not summarizing this,
No,
throw your
no,
hand up.
So far,
That is correct.
Okay, now we go upstairs, and we're gonna go right to the dorms. So there's 3 toilets there, we're gonna keep 2, eliminate 1. And the 2 public ones by the training room will stay. Everyone agree?
Why are they two here, the last 2 you spoke about?
That for public,
Public and
Be-
in the training area.
so both Lisa and Kathy said it's important to have a ladies' room up there. So, I'm gonna defer to the ladies.
Yeah, it may not be labeled, but generally, men don't
The
care
one
what
in
bathroom they go
Laconia,
in, women do.
So I've taken some trainings in Laconia, and they have 2 bathrooms right there, men, women's. The same with the other one that we do a lot of trainings in is New Hampton,
You do?
men, women, yeah. They got a nice training.
Okay.
I do know that, as far as like anecdotal evidence, the police station has had some issues with having multi-user, like men and women bathrooms, because the women's bathrooms don't get used enough, so it may not be worth like labeling them specifically men and women if they are single user.
Okay, let's go back to the 2nd floor. We're done with the bathrooms and showers. Let's talk about the dorms, because I see 6 dorms. The 6th one being unlabeled, but if you go back to the previous drawing, it was labeled as a dorm. What do you guys think about that?
My honest opinion,
I want everyone's
I'll
honest.
eliminate the student dorm.
What makes, oh, it's just a double bed dorm?
Double bedroom.
I don't think it.
Or
really
eliminate
saves
one of
anything
those dorms
taking it
and
out.
keep,
Well, again, maybe at the end of the day, the architect looks at it and says, yeah, we can cut that room, but it doesn't save anything. I'd rather get that opinion from them as they're shuffling everything around.
Well, I mean, I guess, would it make more sense to like, cut one of those and then just make the other dorm rooms slightly larger? Because I mean, then we're saving some amount of money on the hardware and stuff.
The whole thing, yes, thank you, Lisa. You're so succinct.
We gotta
We
shrink
gotta
it.
shrink
missed
it.
it. I missed what
We
you said.
gotta-
I'm sitting
we
there.
gotta
She
shrink
said, we gotta shrink it.
So I can give you one of
Shrink is
the things that I looked at to shrink it. The dorm rooms are 10 by 12. They could be 10 by 10. You can take 2 feet off of them.
Well, I guess if we lose the student dorm and we move the laundry to where one of the toilet shower rooms was, and then we make the training area smaller, we could potentially cut,
You can shrink
feet
it.
off this entire end.
Now, that only
But
happens
then you
if
have
you can
this,
do
you
this
can do it
downstairs.
You gotta look at the downstairs
You
part.
take
too.
12 feet off and you lose
Now-
your chief's
now
office, your mechanical
again-
room, your captain's office.
You cannot shrink the upstairs unless you're gonna shrink the downstairs.
Right.
Well, then can we shrink the upstairs in either direction without shrinking the downstairs?
Nate, focus.
We'll let the
What-
architect figure it out.
Exactly. What we want to do is say, we need this space, we don't need that space. When everything is said and done, they know what we need for space, they're gonna lay it out. That's why we're paying them the big bucks. So, I don't want to get focused on how do we do it. What I want to do is give them guidelines, what we need. So, back to,
So back to the question, do we need 5 dorm rooms
plus the student.
I
Garrett
think,
says-
okay, I think dorm rooms are important. We're gonna house, we're gonna have 4 firefighters there, right?
At least.
Eventually might have to have one extra. In the future, there's gonna be more, right? Long ways down the road. If you, my true opinion is this could be redesigned, again, is you guys may not like this, but cut the training room out completely and move things upstairs. And you will shrink a lot of square footage off this fire station. And realize we haven't, I'm gonna speak my opinion here, I've been involved in maybe 3 or 4 trainings here in Hilton that we've had other departments come in and we've made space either in the apparatus bays or somewhere else to have a training. And I just don't, unless you guys are planning on having big meetings up there, I don't foresee this training facility training area getting used to,
You said cut the training room completely.
and redesign it and put something else upstairs and shrink the building that way.
Can we use the training meeting rooms at like the police station for district events?
It's just-
Yeah,
Why?
that's-
We already got one at the police station that we have access to.
Hey, there's a training room and a
Exactly,
TV,
like,
we use
we
this
can use
building.
that for everything, like, we don't need to have an event
school.
physically near Park Street for like access to those,
So we're shrinking this
like
far.
structures, like the containers you got back
We
there.
could
Well,
make the garage.
So, my thought
bigger
is,
for more
I
space.
think personally, we should leave the training room in, see what the costs are, and if we have to cut it, reduce it, then that's when we do it. If we feel that we need to do it. Because the benefits of having a training room, first of all, we can have meetings there, whereas without it, we can't. Trying to move crap around in the wintertime in the apparatus room to make room for tables and chairs and stuff like that isn't as professional as it could be, in my opinion.
Well,
And we've already
I
cut
haven't
out the
s- I-
conference room.
Yes, I haven't seen a new fire station built, especially a headquarters, that doesn't have a training room in it.
well, back at the first drawing, we had a 30-seat training room.
Yes.
And I remember commenting that 30 seemed awful high. Now we have 40.
I think it's just a matter of,
Cheapest use of
Well,
dead
just because
space.
it's upstairs.
it's upstairs, and it's just making use of the space that's there. But what are you gonna put, if you make the room smaller, is the building gonna be cheaper? Probably not.
So
Well, that room there. I
Not,
think
if you
we
make
should go
that
back
room
downstairs.
smaller and make the hallway bigger,
So let's go back downstairs, we'll entertain it. What rooms could go up there?
yeah,
The
what
kitchen.
functions? So the
The
kitchen,
kitchen,
gate
crew office, I
office.
thought you guys wanted that downstairs.
we could, but I'm just saying, if we're gonna if you're looking at cost savings and cutting things, like, stuff can be moved around, right?
I mean, we could move that upstairs and put it where
Or
the,
the gym could go upstairs.
what was,
No, we discussed
Yeah, I
that
think
last
so,
week,
yeah.
that bringing the equipment up is difficult.
you have to, change the flooring.
And the floor design has to be.
You gotta reinforce it.
Here it's on the slab,
I mean-
but there's no reason that the day crew office, the kitchen, couldn't be upstairs.
Well,
yeah,
I
we
mean-
could put it upstairs right here and then just have a fire pole access to
I
the
think
garage.
the bigger question is,
I mean, it would be nice, like,
Or could we move
Well, you know-
like admin and or captain's offices up there and stuff like that?
I think the entirety of the admin staff should be on the same floor.
Yeah, they should. But you know, let's actually, I'd like to revisit the whole wellness thing, because you know, it depends on what we're building with. I mean, there's a lot of gyms out there that people go to. They're not on first floors.
They're on the second floor.
But they're on the second floor, but
Yeah.
it's about the structure of the building. Yeah, we'd have to reinforce it, but I mean, if we're doing steel and concrete, I mean, I
What do you
can't see
do for
that.
exercise? Equipment is heavy.
Equipment is heavy.
How's it get there?
Well, it depends, I mean, we can also, I mean, how big an elevator are we doing? What kind of weight are we putting on the elevator? What's,
I don't know.
I mean, is there a minimum weight load that we gotta put on there?
I honestly don't know.
I mean, if we're having an elevator, it might as well, well, I guess cost would be a concern in making it like a freight elevator sized elevator.
I mean, what do
How
we-
many times are we moving equipment from downstairs to upstairs?
Once.
When we populate the room with the equipment?
That's what I'm saying, it's a
once.
one-time
It's
deal.
not a big, like, people say you're moving equipment upstairs, doing it once in
Right.
20 years.
You won't like the noise. The noise on the floor is gonna, when it's on
Vibrate.
concrete, there's no vibration. When it's upstairs, you're gonna hear it when you're downstairs, right?
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying again,
But I like your
what's the
idea
structure?
of the kitchen
I
going upstairs.
kitchen, maybe, no, maybe not. I'd rather have the
with
gym on the
training.
second floor than the kitchen.
But
I
I
mean,
was
if
looking
all
at
the
the-
offices are gonna be downstairs, the kitchen should be downstairs.
Where I was thinking of saving space is you move the kitchen area over towards where the training area is, and you have a movable wall for where you can squash your kitchen in when you have a big meeting. Because you got big open space for that, and you got big open space for that. And if you could move one whole wall, you could change a lot of square footage. But that's,
Do we need the crew and the chief and captains on the same floor?
That's important, yeah.
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 That's
So we
it's
can't
important in the sense
move
of
their
like-
offices without moving the kitchen day office.
Well, much of that we
Or
already,
vice versa.
this is in existence, because much of that we've discussed in a lot of previous meetings.
But, and I think we need to take a step back. We developed a program and we asked the architect to fit it into the building, right? So now the conversation should be, if we wanna shrink the building, what rooms do we not need? And we'll let the architect redo the floor plan to make it fit in there. So you remember, we had a conference room, we got rid of the conference room. So we don't need conference room and the training room, because you can use the training room for a meeting or a conference. I don't want to get rid of the training room in total, because where are you going to hold a meeting? We're going to hold it in the day room, which should be for the firefighters, in my opinion, not for the chief to be interviewing,
Right.
you know, a firefighter. You know, the benefits folks come in to talk to the employees, they want some privacy, you need a room for them to do that. Now, granted, they don't need the giant training room, but it is a room that they can close the door and have privacy. They could use an office if somebody wasn't there. But I'm you know, of the mindset, if we're gonna build a modern fire station, I want us to have our commissioners' meetings in the fire station. So we have to have a room to do that. It's great that we can use the Tilton PD station when we need a bigger room. But, you know, there are times where we can't get a room that we want because there's not a lot of rooms available. And so we're here in this, which is great that Tilton lets us have, you know, use this room. But if you look at upstairs, we used to have big meetings upstairs and they keep adding offices and that room keeps shrinking.
That was a big room.
That was a big room when it was all open. Yes.
You're right.
Used to be
It was
recreation.
two big rooms.
So, you know, we need some sort of room, whether it's a conference room or a training room. I'll disagree with getting rid of the training room.
Call it what you want.
We need a room.
I mean, you're right.
As
So-
far as moving stuff upstairs versus downstairs, could mechanical storage, IT data storage, and potentially custodial storage go upstairs? Because that could
I
go
to-
into
I-
the
I
training room
asked the
space,
architect
and
about
then
that.
that keeps
Specifically the
downstairs.
mechanical space. He says when he's talking to, what do you call it, MEP people, they need that mechanical space downstairs on an outside wall.
What goes in mechanical
I
storage?
didn't ask specifically what goes in there, but he said he needs
Well,
that.
it's probably like the water service entrance with the meter and backflow preventers, probably gas entering the
Electric.
building.
I don't know.
So the word storage.
Ventilation
And
is
stuff.
distracting.
Electrical service has to be somewhere.
Yeah, maybe mechanical closet's better.
So let's backpedal,
That's fine.
back to Tim's comments about a smaller meeting room, conference room. Are we in agreement that the second floor training room with the foldable partition, is it safe to say that everybody is fine with making that smaller?
A full attendance of fire department members to a meeting or a training would be approximately 16 people. Because
I
remember,
just
we're
counted.
not bringing all the duty personnel in typically on a training. All the call members would be there in the duty crew.
There's 21 seats right now in the kitchen day crew office with space. If you've ever moved the lounge chairs to put folding chairs or something, you could easily,
We're not gonna do that. Move stuff in the day room and kitchen to make space for.
aren't you gonna do that, chief? This is what the option is. 5,000 taxpayers say, I'm not gonna pay for that.
Well, I just, it's not practical to do so.
Could we make the wellness room smaller and the kitchen day crews, like, I guess,
Wait, aren't we talking about the training room
I thought that's,
Upstairs.
Yeah.
upstairs?
Yeah.
See,
And I think your comment
Right,
was,
the
can it be
question was-
smaller, and I would think it could be smaller. And it's up to the architect whether or not, you know, to
Right.
fit. We
So-
don't need it that large, right? Is
our
that what you're saying?
recommendation to the architect would be to make that room smaller, is that? Everybody on board with that?
If he can.
If he
Seriously.
can by shrinking the building, right? I don't know.
Yeah, if it helps shrink the overall, yes, but just to shrink it for the sake of saying we sat here past on the back and we shrunk it, there's pennies here,
Gain of nothing, right.
pennies.
well, I
Right, but
think
it's not gonna
it's
shrink if we don't
the-
shrink the downstairs.
Well,
I'm
it's
saying,
the
we're talking about the upstairs, but that's why I mean, I'm fine, honestly, my personal opinion is I'm fine with the whole damn design, you know, but it's like, you know, we're trying to second guess whether or not the voters are gonna approve it. But the thing is, unless, I mean, we're not gonna change anything upstairs if we don't change it downstairs.
No.
And that-
Well, we're already removing bathrooms, so that gives us some space for some of these functions, if like the custodial storage or the IT room could go where that is, and then maybe we
Does the-
can make the building a little bit
All
smaller.
we're doing is giving the architect some
Guidance.
guidance that
Right.
we don't need it this and this and this. If
Right.
they say, well, it doesn't matter anyway, okay, we'll keep it. But I think if we say we can make, we're okay with that room being smaller.
Right. If they
Yeah.
can, I mean,
If they
that's
can.
really the essence. Are we okay as a group to say, if you can make it smaller, please do so?
That was
That's
my
the question, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, but then
Okay.
we gotta figure out, what are we okay with cutting downstairs? Because,
So we already did.
Using that
We already did.
mindset, which I really like, how do you prioritize these? So, for example, we've got,
The most expensive.
right, so we can get rid of, you know, a shower stall there and a bathroom there. If the dorm rooms, if it helps to make them 10 by 10 and kind of 10 by 12, that's doable. If getting rid of one of the dorm rooms helps, that's doable. If making the training room smaller, that's doable.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of,
So
exactly.
I missed the meeting where we ended up with an upstairs. So I need to ask, is there an upstairs in the entire building, footprint of the building?
No.
No.
So there's
Only
part,
half.
The apparatus room is separate, so the second story is really only over the office space.
Over,
Yeah, the apparatus space, it's just.
okay.
The
How
apparatus
expensive is it?
room is
to
taller
just
than,
elevate that
yeah,
elevator?
it's like 16 or 17
And
feet
it's just-
ceiling.
At some point, should we ask for that?
They will,
is
once
there
we
mezzanine
get,
over the
Right.
shop
we
and?
need to get that.
Yeah,
My question
yes,
really is,
yes, there is a mezzanine there,
should we ask for
The
them
same
to
thing.
throw them together now?
apparatus.
No, because aren't we still trying to
Yes.
shrink things? I don't think we need it with an elevator. Well, I can visualize it, but maybe everybody else can't.
Right.
Um,
Okay. So,
Back to, didn't we at one meeting, a few meetings ago, ask if they could fit everything on one floor? And the site's not big enough. It's
No,
not.
not without substantially site work that would cost. When he talked to his civil engineering guy about it, civil engineer looked at it and came back about a half hour later to gain another 20 feet on the width of the building would cost anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000 because you have to, more dirt comes out, more dirt comes in, the retaining wall gets bigger, and you're on top, you have to move underground service lines for gas and electric.
Got the elevator and
How
all
much
that.
is the
cost a
elevator?
lot.
Elevator,
I just looked at a residential elevator for a customer the other day, $96,000 for a residential.
Yeah, I'll bet that's a big ticket item.
That's gotta be 300 if it's in nickel.
I didn't ask him what the elevator, so since you have an upstairs, you have to have an elevator.
Right, but if you don't have the upstairs, you don't need.
I tried to talk him
Or
out
the
of the
stairs.
elevator.
I'd rather spend the money
the
on site work than an elevator.
And
I mean,
a
I'd
stairwell,
rather-
and a stairwell.
We could probably
Two stairs.
buy acres of land in Northfield for, you know,
we're not going
I know,
down that
we're
road.
not going, but you're right, if even that expense, you get rid of 2 stairwells.
One of the other issues that we have is on the land area for parking.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Well,
place
didn't we
that we
talk
have to
about-
fill in is parking right now.
Well, we talked about trying for some kind of lease with Northfield, right?
No, no.
A parking lease?
Parking lease. I
Well, they
mean,
have that
we can
huge
use-
parking lot.
We can use it, but if they sell the property, that's
That's why
probably
I'm
the
saying you
end.
get a 99-year lease,
I don't,
right? I don't know, I mean, we're
Or
swapping land
some
with
kind of
Tilton, we're doing this and that.
right of first refusal if they go to sell that piece of property,
Yes.
maybe.
I did have a conversation with one of the Northfield selectmen who, of course, his first thought was, yeah, that parking gets used for the fire department, gets used for events in the Pines and Old Home Day, and that works out fine. And they don't see any future in moving the highway garage in the near future, and they're actually doing upgrades out behind the highway garage. His thing was, he didn't think you should worry about Northfield selling that property.
Yeah, who knows how many $100,000 paying some sanders.
They're hanging new Sanders out there, or new building to hang Sanders out back.
I mean, I would much rather spend money on site work than an elevator, because you got the whole lifetime maintenance of that elevator.
True.
And it's a slab on the grade.
I lied, it was 94,000, I said 96, didn't I?
didn't have it.
When you said 90, the rest.
90.
I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Okay, so that brings up a question.
How much is the elevator?
Well, look, I think we need to do a true cost analysis of 2 floors versus 1. Because you got 2 stairways, you got an elevator.
A stairway,
Two stairways
2 stairways
required,
required by,
code.
But if you don't have them upstairs, you don't need them. That shrinks your building right there. If it's all on
Well-
one level, it allows you to shrink some of your training. You see what I'm saying? Now you've got a box, one box, not a box that's relying on the box below.
So if we're reducing the number of bathrooms and dorms on the second floor and reducing the training room size and removing a bathroom on the ground floor, maybe we don't need to expand the building that full 20 feet. Maybe we need to do 10, especially if we can get rid of the stairwell and the elevator, because then we could potentially, use that space for dorms and then the, additional space.
Well, as Lisa said,
Training
we
room.
need to have them give us a more definitive answer,
Thank you.
which I think you already have.
But, do we have room? At
That
freaking
was the
Northfield? That's, I mean,
question. We have the
you're saying
room.
site work, I know
And
Kevin
you were
brought site work, but you can only do site work on
We haven't
Well, you
seen
can
where
do it.
this is on the plan, right? I mean, I have a printout of the old,
Then you're parking, you take away all
You're right, we haven't visualized on the plan. I keep in my head saying, right, this is the current building and we're building this one to
It's, for all intents and purposes, that's what it is.
but when I looked at their original plan, they were showing this big thing, which this is less than that.
Yeah, well, that was a pipe dream without any engineering done whatsoever. That was just sticking something on the property. That
Yeah, there was
has-
enough more
Right,
than an
but-
overlay on the lot.
Yeah,
Right,
that's-
but I'm just saying, if you could put,
And this goes back to people who aren't even involved anymore, right?
we own all that.
No, I mean, this plan goes back to the guy who's not involved.
Yes, yeah.
This is 16 feet, my blind eyes showed me.
Is
That's 16 feet.
is the issue the communication tower has utilities that are running through like a portion over here?
Yes.
Okay. So we can go further that way, but we have a limitation.
well, you
Can
said
we
they
move
could put
those?
parking over that, but
We can park on top of
park
it,
on top.
but it
You
would,
can't put a building.
it would be extremely expensive to move those things, to put a building on
Can you
And-
encapsulate it? Put it in the floor?
it. They,
Well,
They
do they have
said
a
that we
lease
would
or a
have to
right of
move.
way or something like that?
excuse me?
Does like, is
Put it
there a
in front
lease
of
or
the-
right of way or something for those utilities that like prevents us from disturbing them?
The utility companies have right away.
Okay, yeah.
There is no way we can put a building over them. Our only option would be to move them. We can put a parking lot over them, but yes, they will have an easement. All right, so,
I just want to ask a quick question, Sue. The Londonderry Fire Station, I was gonna go look at it. Is that one story?
It is one story.
Okay.
It's more on the kin of what Sanborn Road.
Okay. No, I'm just asking, because I mean, we're talking about a lot of things. I mean, if we're talking like a one story, I was just kind of curious if everyone's gonna go down there and have an aha moment, and then we come back and go, you know what, let's go back to. So I'm just, but if it's one story, I mean, we're talking about trying to flatten this damn building out and with the room, so that's, I mean, it might be, we'll see what happens down there. I won't be there, but I'll take y'all's word for it.
Would that building fit on Park Street? Like, just like, I just have no frame of reference for how large that station is.
you have to go see it.
Too wide, too deep, right? That's what Mike was
It's
saying.
it's too wide,
yeah,
too
I
deep,
think
but it's basically
the whole,
something like this.
the
A T.
whole object of seeing that substation in Londonderry, my impression now, correct me if I'm wrong, is to use that as a basis for Sanborn Road.
Yes.
Okay,
That's what we were talking about.
okay.
So Park Street is still gonna be the main station, right?
Yes.
Is that everyone's understanding?
Yes.
Okay. What I'd like to do is leverage Lisa's expertise in this stuff. And she's made a couple comments that I'd like to highlight. One of them is we need a cost analysis of one story versus two. Can we get some guidance from Lorero as far as rough cost estimates of what we see here on 2 stories versus what it would be if that were on 1 story? If it's an exercise in futility, I'm not interested in it, but I would like a general cost comparison. And if they built a fire station in the last couple of years, they'll have a pretty firm idea. Second thing I'd like from Lorero is the square footage of the building somewhere on the drawing, like they did on the first one.
Sure.
I did notice Sandburg Road went up, not
Yes,
down.
231 square feet, yeah. Third thing I would ask of Lorero is if they can provide us some guidance as far as the cost per square foot, because we're bouncing 300, 450, 700. I have no idea what it is. They have to have some idea in today's dollars what that cost
So-
would be.
Last June or July, I got, no, maybe it was closer, no, it was closer to November. The cost per square foot was $391.
Can you ask that question again, please?
I will.
So it's now 4 something.
Always optimistic.
Where did the 550 come from that we were floating on?
Someone said it.
Someone said it.
Well, I'll tell you where the
The
7.
$391 does not include site work. It doesn't include fixtures, furniture, and equipment. Site work has already been determined a few years ago. Those are gonna have to be revised, but if you just take like the CPI over those past few years since they were developed, you can probably come up with a very close
So everything
number.
cumulative might have been where the 5 or 6 or 700 came from. Total cost,
It might
all
be
in.
the 391 plus site work.
It's $391 plus site work.
Which we
And
have.
then
That's a
FF&E, which is a different number.
That's where you get your 550. Add them all together, that's where it comes to probably.
I don't know if anyone's
It's
added
not
those
the right way
numbers.
to estimate.
I recall those,
Estimate the building itself.
I recall those numbers being around 600K for Sanborn Road and 900, almost a mil for Park Street.
670 for Sanborn and 914 Park Street.
Just the site work.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Is there anything we want to discuss with regard to Park Street before we ask Lorero for revisions?
I think the chief's got quite a list there.
Yeah.
I got another side too if I need to.
I think
You had the hallway in there? You had the hallway?
Yes.
A lot of spelling errors.
Yeah, I know that.
Just kidding.
Yeah, what was about Valley, to go straight into that?
Their engineer's not
Yeah.
that good.
Great path.
Even CAD systems have spell check. Okay, so everyone's content with that?
We,
Content with that, we might not be content with what the result.
For this minute.
Is there anything on Sanborn Road that we need to rediscuss?
We created a list of things for Lorero for Sanborn Road as well.
Yeah, because
Because I thought we were waiting and giving them to them all at once.
yes, you're
Is the
100%
kitchen and,
correct. Where are you talking?
they're called different things on the plan.
Kitchen, day room, office.
Are they the same size in both buildings?
no,
Is Sanborn bigger or smaller?
smaller.
So, last meeting, we discussed potentially cutting one apparatus bay.
Yep.
Is that something we want to pursue?
As long as we can store our equipment, but like, I had addressed last time too, about having room, I mean, we essentially need room for like 11 pieces of equipment. And when we cut it down, I think we cut it down to,
It would displace the pickup trucks and the
right,
boats.
something's getting displaced. I mean, which is, I'm not arguing for keeping this space. I'm just saying, you know, this is where I'm asking for consensus from the firefighters. You know, what can stay outside, because if it's not inside, it's outside. So that's up to y'all. I mean,
Or
if we're gonna save the space.
can we consolidate that? Not randomly used, but not everyday equipment, can we segregate that to one area where all these clearances around the vehicles can be shrunk? In other words, have it a parking area rather than,
What do you,
Right, I think
what did you say
Derek
again?
What's that?
What did you say again?
No, because, right on the last
No,
one.
can I just pick up where you were?
Sure.
Sanborn Road, you're saying cutting a bay.
Well, right, we've got 11
no, I said that.
11 pieces of equipment,
Right.
and currently, right now today, we have 8 bays. So all of that equipment fits in 8 bays because you don't need a bay for a pickup truck, and a bay for the boat, and a bay for.
Correct.
So
And you-
the,
Right.
if by cutting the bay up at Sanborn Road, we're left with 10 bays,
We have,
which is more than what we have, which more garage space than we have now.
the chief's gonna disagree with me, that's fine. We have 4 ambulances in this plan. We currently do not have 4 ambulances. And we need 3. But if you're gonna tell me we need 4 ambulances, and we're, call mutual aid.
Can I
Why we
ask
have
you,
mutual aid?
operations,
We're housing a 4th ambulance in one of these bays that we don't even own.
do we need 3, do you need a ladder, an engine, and an ambulance all in a row? Like that, operation-wise, that's a good thing, right?
Yes.
If you're doing that, you can't cut the width of the building.
You can if you get up space between them.
Right.
You
Well,
take-
maybe here, you're talking a few feet.
Right.
But I'm saying, these 3 all wanna be able to come out, right?
Yes.
So I'm saying that you've got this width that you need.
Right, we were discussing that at the last
So
meeting.
if you eliminate a bay, you've gotta eliminate this, and so now you're stacking them.
Or you have doors on the back and one of those pieces of equipment goes out
Pulls
the
out
back.
the back. Okay.
I mean, this, in my mind, this station is only supposed to house an engine and an engine and ambulance and forestry truck. In my mind. It's a substation.
So the ladder would stay
The
at
ladder would go to Park Street.
Park Street.
Or make that station big enough, make the bays big enough that the ladder can be put in there. But to have a ladder truck and an engine and 2 ambulances there at a substation it's,
We
in
don't
my
show
mind,
space
it's a
for
lot
a
of, it's a lot of
ladder.
apparatus for.
Well,
At-
I-
Is
at-
one of these
at-
a tanker? Nowhere does it say tanker.
It doesn't say tanker.
Well,
On-
what-
On, yes, the tanker.
The current design, and what I was asking about like at the last meeting is, how much can we shrink, because like I said, in previous meetings we were talking where, I think the chief had brought it up, like when they open the doors and stuff, not having enough room in between the vehicles. But essentially, this plan right here allows 18 feet wide for each vehicle. Because when you look, a 14-foot door, and then you've got 4-foot dividers, so you've got 2 feet on each side there. So you've got that 14 feet
Correct.
Plus 4 more.
plus 4 more. Yeah, that's, yeah, you got 18 feet.
If you open up, so the apparatus, with everything closed, not counting the mirrors, are 8.5 feet wide. If you open up the passenger door, that's 3 feet out. If you open up one of the compartment doors, most of them are 2 feet and a couple inches. Some of them are a little bit less, some will average 2 feet. So you're taking that 8.5 feet, say you open up a compartment door, now it's
11,
11, 8, 9, 10, almost 11 feet wide.
right, almost 11.
You open
And then
up the
3.
passenger door, it's 11.5 feet wide. If the truck beside it has one of those doors open, now you practically touch it.
Right, but okay, so if you
So-
open, you've got 2.5 feet, you say the doors are 3 feet, right?
The compartment door, not the
Compartment doors.
compartment, but the passenger doors.
Right, you said, so the trucks are 8.5 feet,
Yes.
plus the potential 6 feet.
Yep.
So that's 14.5 feet. So 14.5 feet, what I'm saying is, the current design has 18 feet. So you've got an additional 2 feet on each side open of each vehicle. So if you,
Yep,
you've
I
taken this,
understand.
right, what I'm saying, so you're looking at 8.5 feet, here's the vehicle drawn right here. You open the doors, there's 3 feet. You do that to every single, and you still have 4 feet to walk in between with all the doors open.
That's just not enough space for you to walk through.
4 feet? I consider myself overweight. That's way more room than I need.
How
So
much
how
room do you
many
need?
cumulatively are you saying you can
So
knock
what-
off of there?
No, but that's, I'm asking short, I'm not making a,
Right.
the only statement that I'm making is we're talking about
A lot
showing
of
space.
space in between apparatus.
A shit ton.
what's the frequency of all vehicles needing all the doors open at the same time?
It's just when you're doing truck checks and stuff like that.
I can tell you structure-wise, you need that little 4 foot.
You need 4 feet, okay.
Absolutely.
And if that's, but that's what I'm saying, so I
Because
wasn't,
this
You
is a
got
lateral,
shear- you got
it's a
shear
lateral thing, you
load
need
that you
that to
need,
put
yeah.
your lateral.
And a 14-foot wide, this is what we're talking about, right, a 14-foot wide overhead door?
Yes.
We've got a maximum 8.5-foot wide vehicle. If it was 9 feet, that's 5 feet in excess.
you talk about a 9-foot wide door?
And I'm
Talk
talking
about
about.
needing, oh, you
Oh,
only need
I'm
Why
like,
is
I
it-
tell you right now, you don't wanna do that.
I have, no,
It's just-
I did not say 9, I didn't say 10 either.
Okay.
And I
I
didn't
was
say
like-
11, but I'm gonna say 12.
We have 12s at Park Street now.
And with the mirrors, it's tight.
It's tight.
It does get tight.
It's tight. The, any new fire stations built today is 14 by 14 foot doors.
And that allows you to put like the protective bollards
Yes.
at like the corners, so that way a truck will, if there's
Hit
an
the
issue,
bollard
it hits
rather
the
than the
bollard,
building.
doesn't hit the
It
building.
should never happen, should never ever happen that a truck hits a building. But in my,
Yes, that-
but in my 44-year career of the fire department, it's happened more than a few times.
yeah,
Okay,
happened right here.
Yeah, we tore into a fire hydrant once.
I think
But
maybe,
anyways, let's discuss for a minute Derek's comments about what is required for space at Sanborn Road. So, one of the things that Deputy Balvani said to me months ago was that he would like space enough for either the ladder or an engine at Sanborn Road. So if we call one space engine space, it should be the engine or ladder, but not both, okay? So with that being said, if we look at Sanborn Road, and the object of this conversation is trying to eliminate one entire day. If we've got 2 ambulances, we've got an engine or ladder, we've got the boat and trailer, pickup truck. Can we fit either the engine or ladder in that space with one bay removed?
well, the engine, the ladder truck's 38 feet long.
I'm sure it's drawn to
It's
scale,
drawn on
just
there.
slide it
Slide
right
it
over,
over.
it fits.
I thought we did the math on this last time and we could remove that bay.
What I want to do is we're giving Lorero a checklist of things to modify. I want to make sure that everyone is in agreement that if we ask them to eliminate that one bay, if we can fit all the equipment in the remaining bays.
I think if Derek says we can, that's enough
Well,
for me.
That's,
I don't know, we gotta do that.
So, the reason there are 4 ambulances is because somewhere down the future, you're gonna have 4 ambulances here. Not right now, but we are gonna have, next year, we will have 3.
But that
5,
could be
10
an
years
issue.
down the road, there will be 4.
But we can do an addition in 10 years to extend.
Not,
You're not gonna
yeah,
get an
likelihood of an
addition.
addition, just forget
You will
about it.
not get an addition when you're paying the bond.
Yeah.
No way, that's why I wanted to bring that
Do
up.
they have an idea, is the apparatus bay gonna be, I don't know what Londonderry has, is it a pre-engineered steel frame, or is it barge hoists?
They haven't mentioned anything to me about that. The architects, you mean?
Yeah.
No, they haven't mentioned any of that stuff
Well,
yet.
I get, they need this first.
Yes.
I'm curious what Londonderry has. We're gonna find
10
out.
years ago when we were doing this exercise on one of the previous buildings, we went and toured about half a dozen fire stations, and it was amazingly helpful just to see how different fire stations are built and ask them what they wish they had done different on the newer buildings, what works really well that they were surprised at. That was the kind of conversation. And, you know, a lot of this, like, you know, the one thought that came out last week that Deputy Robinson made that really hit me was, if you did 2 bays, 2 deep up at Sanborn, and you get rid of those back doors, you provide a whole wall for storage. Okay, that's very interesting. But then on the other side, if you want to be able to drive any piece of equipment out, you need the doors so you don't have to shuffle a truck to get out. So the reason I bring it up, there's pros and cons, and you go around and look at these stations and you go, all right, they made their bays 20 feet wide, 40 feet deep, and they're back to back. And you're like, well, the trucks aren't anywhere near 40 feet long. But they end up having all this gear and equipment in between the trucks, and, you know.
You're not going to put a first out vehicle against the back wall.
Right.
You're going to have your first out in the front, and then this one,
But
then all of a sudden has free access.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The apparatus bay cost per square foot is way different than the,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I don't know how much we save by chopping
Can we
off a
save
bay.
in that building cost and then site work cost?
Yes, but Sanborn Road doesn't have a lot of site work costs, right?
640.
As far as Sanborn Road goes, I don't support cutting it, I support shrinking what's there.
Shrinking
Well,
you're saying not cutting the bay,
Don't cut the bay.
just shrink
Just
it
make
a
18 feet
couple feet.
needs to go.
couple feet?
well, Lisa brings up a
Need
valid
this.
point, which is you need to structure a wall between the doors. That's one of the
Yeah, they
big
put a-
problems with Park Street, is that shear load on that front wall. There's no stability.
I get what
They're
you're
gonna
saying,
stick their frames
but
in
it's
there.
still there.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is go with
Until
a
it's
12-foot,
Not the 40 years.
12-foot door instead of 14?
My feeling is, no offense, but if you can't put a 9.5-foot wide vehicle in a 12-foot door,
Well, doesn't it become
I'm,
11?
Yeah, like you said, there's
I'm pretty sure it's NFPA standard now to have 14-foot doors. I mean, I think it's a standard.
Well, the vehicle is 8.5 feet wide. The
Yes.
mirrors are not included in that 8.5 feet,
Another-
if I'm not mistaken.
A foot at least on each side.
No, I know, because I know.
probably 16 inches, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I thought
They'll
I was doing great wonders building a 9, I have 9x9 doors, thinking I would have had all the room in the world. Then I bought a 250 with mirrors, and guess what? I got to fold them to get in the damn garage. So, my bad.
I put
So
10s in
that's-
mine, and I wish they were
They're
12.
tight.
But on that note, I don't want to digress too much, but I mean,
I
when
don't
we're
know
looking
how
at all
much
this
we're saving.
equipment,
Yeah,
I mean, especially with the Sanborn Road property, I'm not exactly sure how much room we have behind there, but, I mean, we're trying to shrink up all
We
these.
have, the room behind it is plenty.
Okay, but my point with this is, we're sitting here talking about this really expensive, square foot cost. I mean, why can't we just eliminate, so when you're talking about the four-wheeler in the trailer, the boat in the trailer, and a pickup truck, let's just take all those right off the dog. I mean, who's to say we couldn't put just a stupid garage out back? We're not building 14-foot doors for that stuff. I mean, a garage like I got at home would be way more than enough. And I can tell you, I didn't pay that kind of big money for my
but
garage.
now you got 2 structures on, dude.
Right, but we don't use those often enough. I mean, to back a pickup truck up to a trailer, to haul a trailer
So
out.
$100,000 for a garage.
Well, I mean, so we could,
Yeah, I mean,
we could pull this in and then have like a lean-to off the, like a carport lean-to off the side, and then just have the truck and the trailer and the truck and the ATV there.
but my point is, it's way cheaper. The square footage cost is way cheaper, and it does facilitate cutting off, because I think we'd be way more than enough. Like because Mike Robinson was talking about that facilitates 8.
I mean, it's how much are we getting for cutting the space though? Because it is the
$1 is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for every dollar, okay?
Right.
let's take a step back and say, if we remove that one bay from Sanborn Road, can we fit the equipment in what remains of the two buildings? Removing one of the ambulances, because remember, we only have 3.
Right.
Yes.
So, think of this, when, say this gets approved with 2 bays, 2 double deep bays, and we build it. And then we put an ambulance, 2 ambulances here, an engine, and whatever else that we, I haven't decided what to put there yet. Maybe the tanker, maybe the ladder. Tank. So what has to go in here is an engine, a tanker, and a ladder, and 2 ambulances. That has to go in there.
Where?
In the new Sanborn station, because when we tear down Park Street, neither the tanker nor the ladder is going to fit in Center Street. We can still fit an ambulance in Center Street. We can still fit an engine. We can probably fit utility 3 in the trailer behind those, because the weight equipment won't be there. The weight equipment will be over there, and we can probably still squeeze the boat in where we keep the boat now, where it is now. If we cut this bay off in the middle of that transition,
Do you know what I hear when you say that? 1 year, less than 1 year of inconvenience.
of keeping the ladder or the tanker outside,
No, not keeping it outside.
where we're going to put it.
Sanborn Road.
Over in here.
But they won't, I think his point is all of it won't fit
We won't.
outside.
All of it doesn't have to during
The pickup
construction.
and the boat trailer.
If we can fit the ladder and an engine and an ambulance in Sanborn Road, the pickup can sit outside, the boat can sit outside for a year.
The whole point of, the original point of doing this fire station thing, 1 station, 2 stations, addition to Center Street, is so that we could have 2 ambulances with the staff, the crew that's on duty. That if you put 2 ambulances in here, you can't, that's what we really need.
Substation. Sanborn Road is a substation.
But for that 2-year period or 3-year period where they're building Park Street, tearing it down and building Park Street, it's the station.
But essentially, you're saying, Chief, that we gotta build this substation
To have
as
apparatus.
big as the main station. So I mean,
No, it's not as, this is smaller than,
right, but I
that
mean, to invest that kind of
Fire
money into a temporary situation like Paul was saying, it's a very temporary situation. I mean, to try to get it passed, I mean, to build it big enough to store stuff that isn't gonna be in it later on after a year, I mean, that's gonna be a tough one to sell.
so
So I
we're
guess
still,
what would the
we're still
cost
gonna
be
have,
for
it's okay, we're still gonna have 3 ambulances, and we won't be able to fit one of them inside.
They have to be inside.
They have to be inside.
Right.
So during construction, we're gonna have 7
Yeah,
big
one
pieces
in
of
the garage every
equipment.
time anyway.
So this is what I hear you say. During construction, we're gonna have 7 big pieces of equipment: engines, ladder, tanker, ambulance. Right? 3 ambulance, 2 engines, a tanker, and a ladder. That's 7 pieces of equipment.
They have to go inside.
That all need to be inside, so 2 of them can go in Center Street, at least 5. So is that what you were saying? So you wanted to have, so you're saying we need the 5 bays up at Sanborn Road to house those 5 pieces of equipment, or we gotta find someplace else to store a piece of equipment?
If you move this door to this side, can this wall move to a certain distance similar to over here, and you will cut that
Move-
whole strip off?
Move that man door out of there?
No, put the man door
On
over
the side,
here,
yeah, but,
and then this wall comes in, right? And then this area comes in. I think you save a few feet. I don't know. I don't know what your distance from your wall, I mean, over here you've got a distance from the wall that's not very much.
you'd save 4 feet.
So say,
It's something.
it's something, and this to me looks like wasted space.
There's the stairs going to the mezzanine there too.
Right, but if you slide it over, it looks like it still fits even with a ladder truck.
Which
Well,
I thought
It's
last
tight.
time we were taking that mezzanine and putting it above a
We'll-
locker
we'll-
room or
we'll-
shop or something.
I
How
have,
about the shop?
that's one of the questions I have to ask Lorero, where can the stairs go over here if we do that?
Yeah, how do you get up there?
Yeah. So we haven't, he's been on vacation, so I haven't had a chance to talk to him about
Like,
that.
yeah.
All right, shall we let it ride until Lorero gives us answers?
Yep.
Sure.
Any comments?
Just real quick to go back to the, if you guys are going down to Londonderry, do you know, does anyone know how many pieces of apparatus, how many bays do they have down there now?
Two bays, double D.
2 bays, something.
I'll take photos.
I can tell you the chief told me the first thing he said was, we should have made it 3 bays.
Deep or wide?
Why?
So it should have been 3-2.
Yes.
3 wide, 2 deep.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts for tonight? All right, is everyone comfortable putting this off further discussion until our next meeting?
When is that next meeting? Did we set that last time?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
27th. It's day after Memorial Day.
4th Tuesday?
27th.
Fourth Tuesday.
27.
The 27th at 5:30.
I'm sure I'll have more answers from Lorero, but
And
I
then-
won't be able to attend because of the planning board meeting.
Then the following
Oh, that's a Tuesday. That's the-
Tuesday,
Yeah, it's not-
June 3rd. So we're 2 weeks in a, 2
Yeah,
weeks in
we
a
are
row.
doing that.
Why don't we move it to the 20th?
June 30th or something?
June
Third.
3rd.
Oh, 3rd.
Yeah, we meet, it's like.
We're
one week
swapping
the
Monday
next
and
week,
Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I thought it was the,
Well, we did a
First-
Monday, Tuesday, and then we just went
First
strictly
Tuesday of
to
the month and the
2nd and 4th Tuesdays, right?
Well,
first.
let's just review what we got right now. Our next meeting is May 27th, which is a Tuesday. The next meeting after that is June 3rd, which is a Tuesday. Next meeting is June 23rd, which is a Monday.
and that's all we have.
That's all we have. Yep.
I'll be in Ohio on June 20th.
June 3rd.
What's the number?
Have it in the wedding.
Don't, you make it sound like it's a funeral or
It's not
something.
his, it's not his wedding,
It's
so
not
you're
your
all
wedding.
set.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when you gotta wear a suit, coat, and tie, I'm like,
Which round on
That's
both
just
ends?
until, that's just
Speaking
until
of
the
which,
dancing starts. and then you
yeah.
Plain
take
for
off.
us, she showed us a photo of Oliver and his whites.
Yes.
He looks pretty good.
He does look pretty good.
Well-
80 bites. Yeah,
And my wife goes,
that's
did he
that
shave his beard? I'm like, well, does he have one? She's like, well, no, I guess he shaved his beard. I'm like, you're looking at the damn picture. I'm sorry,
Is
we're
that
on
the one you got?
Yes,
No, let me see.
anyway.
Awesome.
Shall we discuss Sean Balbani's thoughts before the meeting? Is
So
it-
I'm the one that brought up we shouldn't have 2 chiefs on the village, and now I'm disappointed that we don't. Without saying I'm pissed off, I'm pissed off. He's way too important to not be here.
Right.
I
agree.
talked to him today and well, he told me just before the meeting that he was stepping down, and I said, how about I step down and you stay on? He said, no.
Why not? That's a great idea.
Well, I will tell you, like he said, I talk to, sometimes Sean, he comes and we just have general conversations and we compare like calendars, and he spends an awful lot of time, and he spends all day and many, many nights during the week. And, so
But then that goes with that.
I'm disappointed. I mean, I like Sean personally, and I think he adds a lot. He's added value, but I mean, and now he's going to be on the. He's like he said, he still wants to be on the finance committee. He sits on a lot of different. I mean, he's here, and then you guys have your training nights and all that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't involve.
Well,
He's a busy guy, so I
you know,
mean,
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but my perspective is that he's much more valuable to this committee than he is to the finance committee.
Absolutely.
I think the finance committee, we need people who work daily in financial institutions or have firsthand experience with obtaining bonds and the like, alternative financing or whatever.
Which I was gonna let you know, I have no experience in that, so.
What I
Just so
was
you know.
hoping, yeah.
Just so you know, I
Well-
don't, I really don't. I can deal with
And-
buildings
and-
and I can add numbers, but I
and-
don't have any financing
And thank you for saying that.
experience.
I think there needs to be someone from this committee on that committee in order to explain and expound on everything we've discussed. So if you're still willing, personally, I
Have
would,
we even decided like how many times a month, is it once a month?
we don't even have a
It's not even formed
roster
yet.
Yeah,
yet.
it
no.
doesn't
Yeah,
form
yes.
yet.
That's
We're,
gonna be
we're
formed.
making, we're making good headway, and we'll talk about it at the commissioners meeting next week, but, yeah.
Good.
Is that meeting here?
Yes. Next Tuesday.
1 week from tonight. Any other comments? I mean, I totally agree with Kevin. I personally feel that Sean's input to this committee is crucial for our success. And I'll tell you 2 reasons why. Number 1, he can help us here on paper. Number 2, he's going to be invaluable at district meeting. Invaluable as far as helping us get across what we need to discuss in order to get this passed.
Well,
He'll
it's a
still be
decision.
there. I think, you know what, I think family has to come first, and I think that's what he was saying.
No, but
I think
if
that's
we have
what
a
he's
choice of having his input on a finance committee or this committee, he definitely needs to be on this committee.
Well, I mean, he did choose finance over this committee. And
Because
maybe that's because it works better for his personal schedule.
He's got
his
ideas, I
family
mean, he's
thing.
full of ideas, he's good on a lot of committees, I mean, Sean's got a lot of ideas, he knows.
I guess I would like to have a conversation with Sean and hopefully guide him to reconsider. But I don't want to do that as chairman of this committee without having approval. I don't want to speak for the committee.
The only thing I would add is I don't want us to not remember that he put his faith in Derek. And he and
True.
Derek talk a lot, they work together. And we as a committee, in my opinion, need to make Derek feel more comfortable, because I don't want Derek to have to say, you know, these little caveats before he gives an idea, because if you really want to know what I
No one who
think.
sits on a committee should have to preface anything they say.
Right, so
With
I'm hoping,
respect.
Derek, that, you
Shouldn't
know,
have to.
that you'll take that as,
Oh, yeah.
this, we want you to say it.
No, I-
We need you to say it.
The idea wasn't, did you say you wanted him to stay or say?
Say.
Say.
Say, I'm sorry.
I want him to say,
Both.
I want him to say what he thinks.
Yes, yeah, without prefacing
Right.
anything. Because when you get into a situation where you have to preface every damn thing you say, it's just beyond counterproductive.
Okay.
So if we have a choice, I'll take him here over 10 of him on the finance committee. So as far as I'm concerned, you want to have the conversation, you got my blessing.
So I just want to update the committee. I spoke at the senior center today about the building, the project, and sort of like an overview of what we're doing and why we're doing it and where we're at. And I have to say, what a nice group of folks. Most of them live in Tilton and Northfield, but there were some people from out of town. But every person I spoke to afterwards, I stayed for lunch and chatted with people, the compliments that they gave the firefighters was just,
That, unfortunately, is going to be a double-edged sword. And I agree with what they said and your sentiment. We could not ask for a finer, more professional group. Here's the other side to that. they're doing fine with what they have.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the dagger.
And I did bring that up in the discussion, because, you know, you don't see the fire station doesn't come to your call.
Right.
You just see great, well-trained, good personality, compassionate firefighters that have all the equipment they need to respond to your call.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and if anyone disagrees with what I'm saying, I expect you to speak up. I firmly believe right now that each of us knows what that Center Street facility is and how it's being used and how unsafe it is. The problem we have is getting that across to the townspeople that have never seen it. They don't even know where Center Street is. They don't know what a ramshackle building it is. They don't know. They haven't hit their head every time they go up the stairs like I do. But, you know, that's minor inconvenience. In the city of Franklin Fire Department condemned City Hall. How do you guys feel about us taking a similar tack towards the Center Street station? What if we get an outside inspection company to come in, be it state or a
It's already been
higher?
done.
It's been done. I had Primex come in, and I had the state fire marshal come in and do.
So,
You don't wanna shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah,
Don't blow your own head off.
What's good, I think the overall sticker on these projects is gonna be a deciding factor.
the what?
The sticker price is gonna be a show,
Of course.
and I don't know how you get around that. Because they're
Okay.
thinking we're building 2 stations. That's sort of what the general public's gonna be thinking.
Right.
And we are.
We are, at their guidance, right, through the survey.
Right.
With a 2% difference, there was, we want a station in Northfield, we want a station in Tilton.
And it's really, the survey was completed by the generation that's the hardest to convince that we need something, in my opinion. I mean, assessing,
And also, the population that's most affected by the cost.
Right.
Right.
So back to my previous comments and to follow up yours. And the chief, you said that you had the state fire marshal and you had Primex inspect the building. Let's bring those reports then to the forefront.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Put them on the website.
It's gonna cost the taxpayers some money, we're gonna have to go somewhere.
I would not have done it. I don't think it should have been done. And I have issues that it was done.
I mean, it's.
You don't go looking for trouble.
Right.
It was done because one of the commissioners on the board several years ago wanted it done.
But I'm not, the who, what, where, why, and how of it, to me is irrelevant. It was done. You do not, the one thing you never do is go looking for trouble. So I believe that was done so that we'd have something to display to the public and said, look, we have to do something.
And I guess we didn't have to do something since nothing was done.
Well, things were done as a result of those findings. We, did what we could with what we had to improve it, to make the buildings safer. We added sprinkler heads in the exit pathways. We closed off windows where we had, that were going to affect an exit stairway and things like that if there was a fire in certain places. I forget what else, but
There were
those are the
some
main
things,
things.
absolutely,
Yeah.
that needs to be done and got done.
Yes.
But to go looking for trouble, to go
Right, 'cause-
looking,
Yeah, we don't need the scared tactic type thing, I don't think.
Because
Exactly.
some people are gonna take offense to it, and then
Yes.
you've already turned them away.
you know,
Because what good is scaring people if they can't afford to fix it anyways?
Right.
Then we might just end up with the plan not passing and people being scared or paranoid about the department.
I mean, the problem is, we do so damn well with, that's, we do so well with,
So,
Here's
the
my,
commissioners allow me to train and have the best people that we can have. We provide the best service, we have great equipment, we have everything but fire stations.
Yep.
And that allows us to provide a great service to the people. The only people we're not providing a great service to
is ourselves.
Yeah.
here's
But they
my,
don't know any different because they haven't worked anywhere else either.
We have to better articulate the change. Like I can tell you right now, anybody who doesn't think things have changed, and I tell you, the thing that bores me the most with a lot of the populations in these two towns is when I hear about the 1970s and 80s.
I remember when.
It drives me insane. It
You know what
incenses
we
me.
used to do?
I know, but but they used to couldn't, and a lot of people, when you talk about the fire station, when you think about Center Street, probably a lot of people remember the way, that's, you know what, they probably still think that it's wide open with all those nice wooden floors where we used to have meetings and meals and stuff, and they don't realize they're gonna run into a door at the top of the stairs, and they're gonna get buzzed in and so on and so forth. You know, but, and I was just thinking, like John Sorella with the Tilton Historical Society, he just put like a 33-minute video. It was a 1992 video of Old Home Day, and we had the whole fire department come by, and I'm like,
It was
Did you see-
39 minutes long.
39 minutes. Did you see the ladder truck? I mean, if you don't believe things have changed, and they're changing, take a look at all that circa 1950, 60 equipment we had in the 1992 parade.
okay,
And
Here's-
that old engine too was just brand new then, because we still had the old engine too.
here's my fear, and this is a genuine fear in my heart. I'm questioning what is the threshold we have to cross in order to get a new safe building built. Is it going to be somebody getting hurt? Is it going to be somebody getting killed? That's my fear. We're asking these guys to extend our lives, to help us when we need help. What damage is going to be done to that group or to the public before we say, okay, we got to make changes? That's my fear.
We can't stop people from touching hot stove. You know, they're
No, you can't, but this gentleman and that gentleman are employees of you. You're a member, you're a taxpayer in these two towns. These two gentlemen and all of their cohorts work for you. If you had your own business, would you put your employees in an unsafe condition like that?
I mean, the town, currently the residents of the town are doing that over money. They save money, it's more profitable for them to.
What,
It's not that.
do we know what the actual danger level is?
Every time I walk up those stairs.
So,
They're short too, Mike.
So, I mean, they go up and down the stairs more than a few times a day. There is some inherent danger, but how much of it, what is the actual extent of it?
One of the things that I see as a layman is, and you came to our last meeting having just left a fire, what I see is the potential for cross-contamination within that building. And we all sit around bonfires making s'mores and drinking beers. When we go in the house at the end of the night, we smell like a fire, but it doesn't hit us till the next morning when we pick up the clothes hamper and we say, oh my God.
Yeah, there's no plastics in your bonfire, you know,
So,
or any other.
you know, that's one of my major concerns. We talk about PPE in industry and manufacturing. You guys have the best PPE in the world. maybe the military has better, but at the end of the day, that cannot isolate you from the potential health hazards if it's stored and kept in the area that you live in without having that ability to clean it.
So, we can't, with the facilities we have, I can tell you our exposure, and it's everyone that works in that building, their exposure to the products of combustion, even though the stuff gets cleaned and stuff, it's still off gases and everything else. That building has holes. You can look from the first floor down to the second floor because there's holes in the floor that we've filled or put things on. You can smell the fire in the whole building when there's a fire. You just could smell it. We're breathing that stuff. Firefighters, depending upon which type of cancer, and I'll say testicular cancer, firefighters have 106 times more likelihood of getting testicular cancer than the person than the general public. And there's other cancers that are less so, but they're all a lot more. I have a thing, I can tell you that. So we live in a building that is promoting us to get cancer. They're doing nothing to prevent us or reduce the risk. That's what that building's doing. Never mind that we have stairways that nobody that's, I'm surprised we haven't been sued because of ADA requirements. We're really kind of grandfathered, but if somebody sued us, we would lose. Someone sued the town of Tilton, and the town of Tilton lost. Hence the way the town hall is now, and the sidewalks.
I don't know who did Aiden fall down the stairs, break his ankle.
Yep. I think it was a call fire button.
So 10 years ago?
Yeah.
But that stairwell, you say it's inherently dangerous to go up and down stairs, but those stairs there, I mean, they don't even meet code as far as rise and run. I mean,
No, everyone
they're
has a
almost like
different.
climbing a freaking ladder.
I've been in there and I'm like, oh my God.
Every stair has a different rise.
Yeah.
Every stair has a different run.
Yeah.
They're close, but when you're going up the stairs, you only need a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch difference to make someone trip.
It doesn't take much.
So,
I mean, I think we can all agree it should have been replaced a year ago,
It
but
should have been replaced
A year.
15, 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
100 years.
I guess
I was gonna say,
how do you feel about having some of the later informational sessions and/or the public hearing for the budget, for instance, at Center Street instead of here?
what's our fire marshal capacity limits for that building?
I don't know.
25?
Well, then you gotta put equipment outside, and you're parking the town street.
Yeah.
that's the point. Put the equipment outside and put the most uncomfortable ass folding chairs in there instead of it.
Yeah, but
And
it's
then when
only
you're in there,
general-
people are like, what the hell is
the
this?
general-
This
You're
is
saying
your
have a
fire department, would
general
you-
public
A
meeting?
July day where it's really
Yeah.
humid.
It's wicked hot.
Wicked
That's a
hot.
great idea.
Yeah.
You think that?
July, summertime, about 3 o'clock
Those
in the
that do.
afternoon. I'll put a fan on too.
Yeah.
Make it nice and
We
loud
got
for
2
you.
fans.
Yeah.
Maybe we just do
The
station
concrete's
I'm
just
just-
sweating.
I'm just throwing it out there, something to think about.
There's
But
always the virtual tour that you can have on,
That's only
It's just
good
not
if
the
the public
same.
shows up.
right, that's
I
what
mean,
I'm
we
saying.
could take all the public in this room right now and go over and still have fun.
When you sell buildings, they do those virtual tours and show you could do
We
some.
could probably put like a virtual tour on our website somehow. I don't know how to do it, but I can.
But again,
Talk
does that
to a
shoot you in the
realtor.
foot tour?
And when you're
Somebody
filming,
might.
fake a trip down the stairs. Watch, let the camera go. Boom, 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 boom.
I'll just
Yeah.
I'll just film Paul coming down the stairs and cracking his forehead on the head.
all right,
Do that in
I'll-
slow
I don't
motion.
know, I mean, I think most people know that it's,
I don't know anyone I don't know anyone who cares to know that doesn't know.
Yeah, we can't get people to care about a problem if they don't
well,
want to.
but I think we also have to be conscious of the cost. I
Absolutely.
mean, you've got, elderly people like me on fixed incomes, seriously. I mean,
You just call yourself elderly?
I am, I'm 10 years older than that young man.
You're in better shape than me, Rob.
So,
All right.
I mean, we have to be confident, and I think it's gonna be a hard sell. depending
matter
on the
what, it's
cost.
gonna be hard.
Yeah.
I agree, this whole project is gonna be hard. But this project is the only project that I think that out of all the ones we've done, that has any chance of passing, because we're trying to appease both towns. Because both towns right now have a fire station. And if you cut it down to one, if we could somehow buy a nice piece of land right here on Route 3 by the Cannon Bridge that would serve both towns equally well, we would have done it.
Right.
But we can't afford it. There's no land for sale that we could afford that would make this 2 fire station project cheaper. But in the long run, you're gonna need 2 fire stations anyway. You know, we're already getting to the point where development is going down that road. Now, that doesn't mean that people that are gonna pay for it now may not reap the benefits of it 20, 30 years down the road. Hopefully I'm still alive 20, 30 years down the road to reap those benefits, but, you know, some people think of it that way as well. I don't wanna pay for another school. I don't have any
You know
more
what?
kids in school.
School triggered a thought.
It's triggers my-
So even if this project was $30 million, we piss away $30 million every frickin' year on our school system and just go, that was great.
Well, why don't we hire the marketing agency that they did to promote that frickin' hairdressing school? It seems like they've spared no expense over there. How do we attach, it's the same
That's a
population.
grant, that was a
No,
grant.
that was all state grant. That
Was it a grant?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they got
Cost
so
like-
much.
I don't know, I'll be honest, Winnisquam Regional School District peeved me years ago, yanked my daughter out of there, ain't been back since. So,
Yeah, so I mean, and
but I
But they
just see,
spend a
how do you
lot.
there's a
get that?
lot of money that goes in there, that place is unbelievable
I
from
wouldn't-
just a short time.
If you want to target the school district, I'd steer clear of that building because that's not the problem.
No, it's but it's an addition every time someone drives by. But that optics is everything. Just like I drive by and go, Jesus, how did they get that? How did they pull that one off? You know, we need those people to help us sell the damn fire
That's not
station.
their big expense.
we need to change the
Their
mentality
staff,
because
their
even at
administration.
20 million, that's a third less. 20 million for 30, 40 freaking years, that's a third less than we ship away every year.
Well, there's way more. We know we got kids. We're required to fund schools. Yada yada yada.
I
So we
know,
got
it's-
less kids.
That
now.
money's already being spent, so it's not like we can
So
spend
Lauren,
on fire
you're
stations.
just gonna need to like summarize this whole.
Yeah,
last
good
part.
luck, Lauren.
Oh, I have a question.
Leave it out, let them watch the video.
Yeah, I know, we can just say
Has
that.
I
Lauren
keep
ever
looking,
done
I
minutes
wanna
from a
adjourn
meeting
that.
before?
I don't
No.
want to.
Since we're all just
I
BS,
gotta
we
tell
probably
you,
ought
she
to
picked that
adjourn the
up.
meeting and turn the
Yeah.
damn camera
I
off.
mean, absolutely,
not
you can read the
sure.
minutes and say, oh, I could have been at that meeting, I can decipher what happened.
We have a motion on the floor. Are you? It just ran between your legs, between your feet. What's there? Did you want to finish your conversation?
No, I was just
don't
saying,
wanna
she's
break
done a
your-
hell of a job in damn short order.
Who?
to-
Lauren?
Lauren.
Oh, without
I just asked
question.
if she's ever done Ms. Forinas before, and the answer was no. And you can read those minutes we approved tonight, and you could reasonably understand what took place.
Right.
Maybe if it's
Deciphering
all
who's
over
who
the
and
place.
whose voice
I
is
called
what.
in the other day and she happened to be working on the minutes for that meeting. And I thought to myself, the only thing worse than having to watch the meeting again would be to have to watch it and then transcribe.
Right.
So, hey, my hat's off to her, she
Well,
picked
Yeah.
that
Once
up.
we- once we
Without
adjourn, I'll tell you a funny
question.
story.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
7:28, Lauren, great job, thank you so much.
That was Nate and Dennis on that motion and second.
Yeah, we had our Legion meeting, and we've got an older gentleman, he's supposed to get his new hearing aids this Friday.
What he mentioned.
So when he answers the phone, everything is on speakerphone, and